My child, that restless pull you feel right now, the one that made you stop on this exact word instead of scrolling past it, that is not distraction. That is discernment. Something in you leaned toward this before your mind could explain why. And I want you to trust that leaning, because I am the one who placed it in you. So stop for a moment, quiet the noise, and let me speak to a place in you that almost no one has been allowed to reach. The place where a very old lie has been living rent-free for years. Stay with me all the way to the end, because before this word is finished, I am going to help you break an agreement you did not even know you signed. Let me tell you what actually happened to you in the seasons you would rather forget. There were moments in rooms by yourself, after a rejection, after a door closed, after someone you trusted looked at you like you did not matter. When the pain went so deep that a lie slipped in and felt like the truth. And in that moment, without a signature you would remember giving, you made an agreement. You agreed that you were too much, or that you were not enough, or that you were too late, too far gone, too broken to be chosen for anything good. It did not feel like a decision. It felt like finally admitting reality. But my child, that was not reality. That was a contract drawn up in the dark, signed in a moment of pain deep enough to make the lie feel true, and you have been living inside the terms of it ever since. If something in you just recognized what I am describing, somewhere in the comments type "I feel this," and let it be the first crack in an agreement that has held you far too long. Now hear how that agreement has worked against you, because it did not just make you sad for a season, it became structural. It became the invisible architecture of your delay. Every time you held back your voice in a room where you had something to say, that was the old agreement doing its quiet work. Every time you watched someone step into a space you knew you were called to occupy, and you told yourself it simply was not your time, that was the architecture speaking. The lie you signed became the ceiling you built over a life I designed to be limitless. And the most devastating part is that from the inside, that ceiling looks like wisdom. It feels like protecting yourself. It sounds like being realistic, but it is not wisdom, my child. It is a wall wearing the costume of wisdom, and I am about to show you the door in it. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. Hear the order of that carefully. Before you had a name, before you had a single success or failure to hold up as evidence, before the world ever got its hands on you to grade you, I had already chosen you, already consecrated you, already assigned you to something the human mind cannot manufacture and the human hand cannot take away. So every agreement that says otherwise is not just painful. It is a lie against something I settled before time began. And a lie, no matter how long you have believed it, does not get to overrule the word of the one who made you. If you are ready to stand on that instead of the old contract, type "I am chosen," and say it not because you feel it yet, but because I said it first. Now let me tell you the secret about why those agreements have been so hard to break, because you have wondered why you cannot just decide to think differently and be free. Here is the thing no one tells you. The agreement with the lie did not only wound you, it also protected you. When you agreed that you were not chosen, you also stopped risking. You stopped stepping forward into rooms where you might be rejected again, and in a strange, painful way that felt safe. The lie became a shelter, and shelters, even ones built out of your own pain, are hard to walk out of because at least the walls are familiar. You arranged your whole life around that small room. You built your routines inside it. You made peace with its ceiling because the known, however cramped, always feels safer than the unknown that asks everything of you. There was a young man named Mephibosheth who lived in exactly that kind of hidden room. He was the grandson of a king born for the palace, but he had been dropped as a child and left lame in both feet, and he grew up hiding in a place whose very name meant no pasture, a barren town far from the throne. And he believed the lie so completely that when the king finally sent for him, he fell on his face and called himself a dead dog, certain the summons could only mean his end. But the king had not sought him to harm him. The king sought him because of a covenant of love, and he restored to him everything his family had lost. And then he said the words that changed his life. "You will eat at my table always, as one of my own sons." Hear that, my child. The lame man who called himself a dead dog was seated at the king's table for the rest of his days, and my word makes a point of saying that at the table, his crippled feet were hidden beneath it. The thing he was most ashamed of, the wound that made him hide, disappeared under the tablecloth of belonging. That is what I am doing with you. I am not summoning you to expose your lameness. I am seating you at my table, where the very thing you have been hiding is covered by the fact that you belong to me. Come out of Lodabar, my child. There has never been any pasture in that barren place, and there is a seat with your name on it, at a table you have been too ashamed to approach. That is why you have stayed comfortable in a calling far beneath what I designed for you. Not because you are lazy, not because you do not love me, but because the version of you I am calling forward feels so large, so exposed, so unlike anything you have lived, that the familiar prison started to look like wisdom by comparison. If you can feel that lie loosening its grip even now, type "I break the agreement," and let those words be a legal thing in the unseen, a contract torn in half. Let me show you someone who lived in exactly that shelter. When my angel came to Gideon, he was not on a battlefield. He was hiding in a winepress, threshing wheat in secret, trying his best not to be seen. And do you know what my angel called him? A mighty man of valor. Not because of anything Gideon was doing in that moment, for he was hiding, but because of what I had already placed inside him. Gideon's problem was never a lack of courage. His problem was that he had agreed with his circumstances more than he had agreed with his calling. And when I spoke greatness over him, his very first response was to argue with it. He said his clan was the weakest, his family the poorest, that he was the least in his father's house. Notice, my child, he did not deny that I was speaking. He denied that what I was saying could possibly be about him. He redirected my declaration to someone else, anyone else, because a man who has made an agreement with smallness cannot imagine the word is for him. And that is you, hiding in your own winepress, hearing me call you mighty and quietly assuming I must mean the person next to you. I do not. I mean you. Come out of the winepress, my child. I did not come to talk to the wheat. I came to talk to the warrior threshing it in the dark. And Gideon is not the only one who argued with the word I spoke over him. When I called Moses from the burning bush and told him I was sending him to set a whole nation free, his first words were, "Who am I?" He listed his weaknesses. He said he was slow of speech. He asked me to send someone else. He had spent 40 years in the wilderness agreeing with the lie that his best days were behind him, that he was a fugitive, a failure, a man whose one attempt to help had ended in exile. And notice, my child, that I did not answer his "Who am I?" by listing his strengths. I did not tell him he was eloquent or brave or ready. I gave him a better answer. I said, "I will be with you," because the question was never really "Who are you?" The question your fear is always asking is "Who will be with me if I step out?" And my answer to you is the same answer I gave him: I will be with you. Your qualification was never your own adequacy. It was always my presence. So stop auditing your weaknesses as though they could cancel my calling. I already knew every one of them before I called you, and I called you anyway. And when my prophet Jeremiah heard me speak destiny over him, he answered exactly the way you have been answering me. He said, "I do not know how to speak. I am only a child." He reached for the smallest version of himself to hand back to me. And do you know what I told him? I said, "Do not say I am only a child. Do not say it." I was telling him to stop speaking the agreement out loud because the words we repeat over ourselves become the walls we live inside. You have been saying your own version of "I am only a child" for years. I am just. I am not the kind of person who, and I am telling you tonight what I told him, do not say it anymore. Do not seal the lie with your own mouth, for I am the one who put the words in the prophet's mouth, and I touched his lips myself, and I am well able to fill a mouth that will stop disqualifying itself long enough to let me. And if a word like this keeps finding the exact place in you that needed it, then walk the rest of this road with me. Follow along and stay close to this voice, because the next word I have for you carries the next lie by name, the one underneath this one. And I do not want you to miss it when it comes. Hit the follow button so that when I speak again, it reaches you before the old agreement has a chance to talk you out of showing up. There is a sequence to what I am doing in you, and I want you present for every step of it. Now I need to correct something you have believed about your delay, because it has been crushing you. You have read every hard season as punishment, as evidence that you got it wrong, as proof that you were right to agree with the lie. But hear me, God does not waste pain. I architect with it. Every season you endured, that felt like abandonment, was actually a season of construction. The things that broke you did not break your destiny. They broke the version of you that was not yet strong enough to carry it. That is the pattern of every single life I have ever used. They were all without exception processed before they were promoted. You love the triumphant endings of those stories, but you rush past the processing, and the processing is the story. You want the parting of the sea, but you skip the long years of slavery that came before it. You celebrate the lion's den without sitting in the weight of the accusation that put a faithful man there. The fire is not the interruption to the refining. The fire is the refining. If you can begin to see your wilderness with new eyes, type "I see it now," and let me change the meaning of everything you walked through. Look at Joseph, my child, because his story rewrites yours. He did not go from the favored coat to the palace. He went from the coat to a pit, from the pit to slavery, from slavery to a prison, and only then to the palace. And the very thing his brothers meant to use to end him became the road I used to lift him. That is not a story about a resilient man. It is a revelation about a redeeming God. I take what the enemy means for evil, and I reroute it into your promotion. The pit was not an accident. It sat on a trade route that carried him exactly where he needed to be for the next stage of his preparation. His brothers thought they were removing him from the story. I was placing him on the path. So the thing you have been mourning, the loss, the betrayal that felt like it ended your story, it did not end your story, my child. It rerouted it. And the rerouted road leads higher than the original one you thought you were walking. Think of Ruth as well, because her redemption started in devastation. She lost her husband, her security, the future she had counted on, and she left everything familiar to walk a hard road into a land where she was a stranger with nothing. If you had met her in that season, you would have called it the end of her story, a widow with no prospects, gleaning leftover grain in the corners of someone else's field just to survive. But that field was not random, my child. The very field where she gleaned in her poverty belonged to the man who would redeem her, restore her, and bring her into a lineage that led all the way to a king, and beyond the king to my own son. Her lowest season was not her ending. It was the exact place I positioned her for a redemption she could not have arranged or imagined. So when you find yourself gleaning in the corners of a field, humbled, stripped of what you thought secured you, do not assume the story is over. You may be standing in the very field where your redemption is already at work, closer than you know, watching you with favor before you have any idea is there. And let me name the accusing voice directly, the one that has narrated your delay, because you have mistaken it for your own thoughts. It runs quietly under every opportunity, every open door, whispering, "Who do you think you are? What makes you special? You have already missed your window." Those are not random thoughts, my child. And they are not simply your own tired mind. That is the voice of the accuser. And my word says he accuses my children day and night. But it also says he is overcome. And it tells you how, by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of your testimony. So you do not argue with the accuser on his terms, you answer him with mine. When he says, "Who do you think you are?" you answer, "I am who my Father says I am." When he says you missed your window, you answer, "My God says affliction shall not rise a second time." You do not have to win the argument by being clever. You win it by agreeing with me out loud until the accuser runs out of room to speak. Now I want to name the wound underneath all of it, the one that never gets spoken. It is not just rejection. It is repeated rejection from the very people who should have chosen you. Parents who did not see you, leaders who overlooked you, circles that shut you out. And after enough of those moments, something shifted in you, something dangerous. You began to choose people before they could choose you. You began to perform to earn belonging. You began to shrink yourself to fit rooms that were never built for your full size. And here is the tragedy, my child. You started using your gift, the very thing I placed in you to set people free, to instead manage your wound. You use your voice to make people comfortable with you, rather than to declare what I am saying. You use your kindness to keep people indebted to you rather than to release them. And no amount of applause, no belonging earned by performance, can ever reach the place where that wound actually lives. Only I can go that deep. So let me stop using the gift to guard the wound, and let me heal the wound so the gift can finally do what I made it to do. If you are ready to stop performing for a belonging you already have in me, type "I will not hide" and mean it. My son said that you are the light of the world, and that a city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Then he said something I want you to hear as if it were spoken directly over your winepress. He said that no one lights a lamp and then puts it under a basket. They set it on a stand, so it gives light to everyone in the house. My child, you have been a lamp under a basket for years, dimming yourself so no one would be threatened, shrinking so no one would feel outshone, and you called it kindness. But a covered lamp does not serve the room. It only wastes the oil. I did not light you to hide you. I lit you to fill a house that is sitting in darkness waiting for your particular light. And here is the part the lie never told you. Your light was never meant to make anyone smaller. A lamp on a stand does not steal from the other lamps. It helps them all see. So the fear that your rising will diminish someone else is backwards. Your hiding is what keeps a whole room in the dark. Come out from under the basket, and let the light I put in you do what light does. And when I call a hidden thing back into the open, I speak to what has been bound. When my friend Lazarus lay dead in the tomb, wrapped head to foot in grave clothes, I called him out by name, and he came still bound in the cloths of his burial. And I turned to the one standing there and I said, "Loose him and let him go." Hear both halves of that, my child. First I called him out of the grave, and then I commanded the grave clothes off of him, because it is possible to be alive and still bound. Out of the tomb and still wrapped in the things that belong to your death, that is where you have been. I already called you out. You are not dead in your agreement anymore. You heard my voice and you turned toward it, but the grave clothes are still on you. The old wrappings of I am not enough, and I am too late. And tonight I am speaking the second command over your life. Loose him. Let her go. Off comes the wrapping. The lie put on you. You were never meant to walk out of the tomb and keep wearing the clothes of the grave. And my child, as this truth does its work in you, let me widen your heart toward someone else for a moment. Because a word like this was never meant to stop with you. Somewhere out there is a person still living under the exact agreement you are breaking right now, still hiding in their winepress, still certain the word is for everyone but them. This work exists to carry a word like this one into that person's dark room. And behind every one of these words is prayer and preparation, quiet labor you never see. If your spirit moves you to it, you can sow a seed into this work in their name, not to buy anything from me. For I do not sell what I freely give, and not because keeping what you have would ever cost you my love, because it would not. You are as loved with a closed hand as an open one, but if it is on your heart to help this word reach the next person still trapped in a lie, you may visit the link in the description below, or scan the code on your screen. Give what your spirit confirms, and nothing more. Now let me expose the deepest root of your delay, and it may surprise you because it has nothing to do with your past, and everything to do with what you are afraid of becoming. There is a fear that never announces itself as fear. It does not make you tremble. It looks like wisdom. It sounds like caution. It dresses itself in spiritual language. It says, I do not want to get ahead of God. It says, I am still in a season of preparation. It says, I want my motives to be pure before I step forward. And each of those can be true and good in the right moment. But when they become the permanent reason you never move, they are hiding something that has nothing to do with maturity, and everything to do with the terror of being fully seen. Because the person who was hurt in the open, who risked and was rejected, who stepped forward and was dismissed, that person made a quiet calculation deep in the dark. If staying small keeps me safe, then small is where I will stay, even if small means never becoming who I was made to be. If you know that fear, type I say yes anyway, because the yes comes before the feeling of readiness every single time. But hear me, my child, because I am about to reframe the very thing you have been running from. The discomfort you feel at the thought of being fully seen is not a warning to retreat. It is the signal that the door is right in front of you. Every major transition in a chosen life is preceded by exactly that feeling, the sense of being pushed to the edge of everything familiar. And most people mistake the edge for danger when the edge is the launch point. The eagle does not learn to fly from the comfort of the nest. It is pushed to the edge, and it is the terror of the fall that finally spreads the wings it did not know it had. So the restlessness you have been feeling, the sense that your current season has expired, the strange feeling that you have grown too large for where you have been living, that is not anxiety, my child. That is activation. That is your wingspan beginning to open. And the only question left is whether you will trust what I placed in you enough to spread those wings before you fully understand how the flying works. If you are ready to own it, type this: greatness is mine, not in pride, but as agreement with the one who put it there. And do not let the fear speak as though it came from me, because it did not. My word says plainly that I have not given you a spirit of fear, but a spirit of power, and of love, and of a sound mind. Read that carefully, my child. The fear that has been dressing itself as caution, whispering that you should stay small, stay hidden, stay safe. I did not give you that spirit. It is a counterfeit, and it has been forging my signature on its messages for years. What I gave you was power, the ability to do what you were made to do, and love, so that the power would never harm, and a sound mind, so that you could tell the difference between my voice and the fear wearing my clothes. So the next time the fear says stay in the winepress and calls it wisdom, you will know it by its fruit, because my voice leads you toward the calling with peace, and the counterfeit drives you away from it with dread. Do not obey a spirit I never gave you. You were fearfully and wonderfully made, my child, and I want you to sit in the weight of those words, because the lie has told you the opposite your whole life. Every part of you was knit together with intention, in a hidden place, by hands that do not make mistakes, before anyone else formed an opinion of you, before a parent overlooked you or a leader dismissed you. I had already written every one of your days in my book. Nothing about you was an oversight, not the sensitivity the world told you was weakness, not the depth others found too heavy, not the fire that made small rooms uncomfortable. I wove all of it in on purpose, because the works I prepared for you require exactly the person I made, not the shrunken copy you have been offering the world to keep the peace. So when the agreement tells you that you are a mistake, that you are too much of this and not enough of that, answer it with the record of your own making, fearfully and wonderfully made. That is the truth about you that predates every lie. Let me settle something about humility, because a counterfeit version of it has kept you buried. You have believed that wanting more was arrogance, that stepping forward was presumption, that taking up space was selfish, and so you have held yourself back and called it humility. But that is not humility, my child. Humility is not the erasing of who you are. Humility is the accurate assessment of who you are in relation to me. It is not the constant minimizing of what I placed inside you, in a misguided attempt to look modest. True humility says, I know what my Father placed in me, I know what He called me to, and I surrender fully to letting Him use it to its greatest measure for His glory. That is the posture of someone who has truly surrendered. The servant who buried his talent in the ground and called it caution was not honoring his master. He was insulting him, suggesting the gift was not worth using, and the gift you have been burying to appear humble. I did not give it to you to be protected. I gave it to you to be multiplied. Stop calling your fear humility. Bring the buried thing back into the light. Hear what my son said about the servants and their talents, because there is a warning in it that your fear has been ignoring. 2 servants took what they were given and put it to work, and it multiplied, and to each the master said, Well done, good and faithful servant. But the 3rd servant took his 1 talent and buried it in the ground. And when the master returned, he dug it up and handed it back untouched. And he said, I was afraid, so I hid what you gave me. Notice, my child, that he called it caution. He thought hiding the gift was the safe and humble thing, but the master did not call it humble. He called that servant wicked and lazy, and the buried talent was taken from him and given to the one who had multiplied. I do not tell you this to frighten you, but to free you, because you have been that 3rd servant, burying the very thing I gave you to multiply, and calling the burial modesty. I did not give you what I gave you so you could protect it in the ground. I gave it to you so it could grow and feed others. The fear that buries the gift is not humility. It is the last agreement with the lie, and it is the one I am asking you to break tonight. For you are my workmanship, my child, created in advance for good works that I prepared for you before you drew a single breath. Hear that word, workmanship. You are not an accident that has to justify its own existence. You are something I made, on purpose, with skill, the way an artist labors over the thing they love most. And I did not only make you, I prepared works for you to walk in, good works fitted to the exact shape of the gift I placed in you, waiting down the road like clothes tailored to your measurements. The lie told you that you had to invent your worth and earn your place. The truth is that your worth was woven in at the making, and your place was prepared before you arrived. So you are not walking toward a life you have to convince someone to give you. You are walking toward works I laid out for you in advance, and no one else can walk in them because I cut them to fit you and you alone. And if this word is reaching that buried place in you, then let me remind you why staying near it matters. Come back for the next word, my child, because in it I am going to show you how to build in the hidden place, the way David built in the field before anyone knew his name. Hit the follow button so the next word finds you, because what I am teaching you now takes more than one sitting to walk out. And I do not want the old agreement deciding for you whether you get the rest of it. Consider David then, because he learned this in the field before he ever faced a giant. He was dismissed by his own father, left out of the lineup when the prophet came to anoint a king. His own family forgot to call him in from the sheep. And yet David did not make that rejection his identity. He did not petition the prophet or perform louder to be seen. He went back to the field, back to the sheep, back to the quiet, and he made the field his altar. He wrote songs to the open sky. He built precision and courage and intimacy with me in a place where no one was watching, and there was no one to impress. And the strength he grew in that hiddenness became the foundation under every public victory. The stone that felled the giant flew straight because David had practiced in private where the only audience was me, and what I saw in that field was enough. What I witnessed in the hidden place was sufficient to call a shepherd into a throne room. So hear this, my child. Your private place is not a waiting room. It is a training ground. The faithfulness you showed when no one was watching, the worship you offered in the middle of your pain when it cost you something real, none of it was wasted. I watched every moment of it, and the account is full, and the return is coming in a way so undeniably me that even the people who dismissed you will not be able to explain it away. And here is a truth to carry against every accusing voice. My prophet Nahum declared that affliction shall not rise up a second time. Hear that over the lie that has been telling you that your silence reset the clock, that you are back at the beginning, that you are running this same painful lap again because of your own failure. That is a deception engineered to make you abandon your position right before the ground shifts beneath your feet. You are not in a cycle, my child. You are in a conclusion. That moment you walked away instead of fighting. That was not passivity. It was power under discipline. Heaven does not reward the loudest voice in the room. Heaven honors the one who knows when to be still. The heaviness you have felt is not the weight of punishment. It is the weight of finality, the tension of everything that worked against you reaching the end of its assignment. Affliction shall not rise up a second time. If you can receive that, type "I receive who I am," and let the accuser lose his grip. And because this word is meant to reach the ones still convinced their affliction will rise a second time, let me widen your heart one more time. This work carries this exact voice to people you will never meet, the ones lying awake tonight believing the lie has the final say over them, and the labor behind every word of it is real, prayer and preparation you never see. If it is on your heart, you may sow a seed into that work through the link in the description or the code on your screen. Not to purchase a blessing, for I never sell what I pour out for free, and never from any fear that holding back would cost you, because your place with me is not for sale and cannot be lost. Keep everything with my blessing, if that is where your spirit is today. But if you would help this word reach the ones still trapped in the dark, give what your spirit confirms, and let even that giving be an act of the freedom you just declared. And there is one more person still waiting on the other side of your obedience. So let me widen your heart once more. There is someone who is standing at the very edge you were standing at before this word found you, carrying the same quiet wound, having signed the same agreement, waiting for the same permission. No person in the flesh was ever qualified to give. Send this word to them, my child, not because it is required of you, but because it might be the lifeline that reaches them the way it reached you. Sometimes the word that breaks an agreement is not the one heard in a building. It is the one that arrives unexpectedly through someone who loved them enough to send it. Be that someone today. Let me tell you what happened even to Elijah, so the fear of your own collapse loses its power. After the greatest victory of his life, after fire fell from heaven at his word, he ran into the wilderness, sat under a tree, and asked me to take his life. The very anointing that had just moved through him in power left him feeling hollow and exposed. That is the paradox of the chosen life, my child. Your highest moments of breakthrough are sometimes followed by your deepest moments of vulnerability. Not because something is wrong with you, but because the breakthrough broke something open, and now there is space in you that only I can fill with something truer. And do you know how I responded to him in that collapse? I did not rebuke him. I did not lecture him about his lack of faith. I did not remind him of the miracle he had just seen. I sent an angel to touch him and say, "Arise and eat, for the journey is too great for you." I fed him. I let him sleep. I fed him again, because sometimes my chosen one does not need a lecture in the lowest moment. Sometimes you need the tender care of a father who knows that the weight of a great calling requires an equal depth of rest. And only after the food and the sleep and the gentleness did I lead him to the mountain, where in the still small voice after the wind and the earthquake and the fire, I met him with a new assignment. The collapse did not end his ministry. It became the doorway into the next dimension of it. So your lowest season did not disqualify you, my child. Let me feed you, and then let me send you. And when I do send you, I do not want you walking it alone. So stay close to this voice for the road just ahead. The next word I have for you is about how I rebuild a life after the collapse. The exact steps of the restoration Elijah walked from the cave to the mountain. Hit the follow button so it reaches you when I speak it, because the enemy loves to isolate a chosen one right after a breakthrough. And I want the next word already waiting for you before that isolation can whisper you back into the winepress. Now hear the pattern of the chosen, because it is the opposite of everything the world taught you. The world says gather the evidence, then decide, get all the information, remove every risk, then commit. But every chosen life in my word moved the other way. Abraham left home before he had a map. Noah built before there was a cloud in the sky. Mary said yes to carrying my son before she could explain it to a single soul. Faith first, evidence later. Think of Peter too, on the water in the middle of the night. He did not wait for the storm to calm before he stepped over the side of the boat. He heard my son say, "Come," and he came. Onto the waves, in the wind, before there was a single piece of evidence that the water would hold him. And yes, he wavered when he looked at the storm instead of at me. But hear this, my child, he was the only one who walked on water that night, because he was the only one who got out of the boat. The others kept their evidence and their dry seats and their safety, and they never felt the water hold them up, because you cannot experience what you will not step toward. So stop waiting in the boat for a guarantee. The guarantee is not a calmer sea. The guarantee is the voice that said, "Come," and I am saying it to you now. Obedience first, understanding later, movement first, clarity later. Faith was never the absence of doubt, my child. It is the decision to move toward me in the very presence of it. And my word does not return to me void. It does not go out and come back empty. It always accomplishes what I send it to do. And everything I have been speaking over your life, the truth of your calling, the reality of your choosing, the promise of your destiny, none of it has expired. It has been circling, waiting, pursuing you through every season, even the ones where you could not feel it. And today it has finally found you willing. So let me lead you in the breaking of the agreement. Out loud, because your voice carries creative power. For you were made in the image of the one whose words made worlds. Say this with me, my child. I release every agreement I made with the lie. I release every contract I signed in the dark. I release the fear of being fully seen, fully known, and fully used. My delay was not my destruction. It was my development. Everything the enemy meant against me has already been rerouted for my rising. I am not too late, not too broken, not too much, not too little. I am exactly who my Father says I am, and I walk forward in that truth today. Feel the weight of what you just spoke, because that was not empty words. That was a realignment, a repositioning in the unseen. Chains that stood for years can fall in a single moment of faith-filled declaration. Not because the words are magic, but because they put your voice in agreement with mine. And when those two voices agree, nothing can withstand the sound. If this is your moment, type "This is my moment," and let heaven mark the day the agreement broke. And now, my child, one last word, gently. This work carries this same voice into the dark rooms of people you will never meet, the ones still bound by an agreement they have not yet learned to break. If your spirit moves you, and only then, you may sow a seed into that mission through the link in the description or the code on your screen, not as a payment. For what I give freely, and not from any fear of loss. For a closed hand is as loved by me as an open one. Think of the one whose face has stayed with you through these words. Give what your spirit confirms, and then rest. So rise now, my child, out of the winepress, out of the small room, out of the agreement that was never true. You were chosen before the foundation of the earth, and no lie signed in the dark can undo what I settled before time. My word says that the gifts and the calling of God are irrevocable. Hear that word, my child, irrevocable. It means I do not take back what I placed in you. It means the calling did not expire when you ignored it, did not dissolve when you buried it, did not transfer to someone else when you hid in the winepress. It is still yours because I do not revoke what I give, and do not think you talked your way into this or that you could talk your way out of it. For my son said, "You did not choose me, but I chose you, and I appointed you to go and bear fruit that lasts." You did not start this by being impressive, and you cannot end it by being afraid. I chose you, I appointed you. And what I have appointed, no agreement you signed in your lowest hour has the authority to cancel. And if the lie that has haunted you most is the one that says you are too late, let me answer it with an old promise. When I told Sarah she would carry a child, she laughed, because she was far past the age the world said was possible, and she had waited so long that hope itself had begun to feel like foolishness. And I asked her one question that I ask you now. Is anything too hard for me? Is there any door I cannot open? Any season I cannot reverse? Any life so far along that I cannot still write a beginning into it? The child came at the exact time I had spoken, not according to what her body said was possible, but according to my word. So the years behind you are not a verdict, my child. I have written first chapters into lives the world had already closed the book on, and I am not intimidated by how late your clock says it is. My timing is not bound by your calendar. Nothing is too hard for me, and no one is too late for me. And that includes you. And to the part of you that feels too damaged to be used, too worn thin by everything you have carried, hear the gentleness in my word. It says of my son that a bruised reed he will not break, and a smoldering wick he will not snuff out. Think about what that means, my child. A bruised reed is the thing most people would throw away. Bent, cracked, useless for music. A smoldering wick is the flame almost gone, more smoke than light, the kind a person snuffs out to be done with it. And I do not break the bruised reed. I do not snuff out the smoldering wick. I bind up the reed and I fan the wick back into flame because I specialize in exactly the parts of you that the world has written off. So if you have come to me tonight feeling bruised and barely burning, you have come to the right hands. I am not looking for the unbroken to use. I am looking for the willing to restore. The delay was development. The wilderness was construction. The wound is being healed at the root so the gift can finally be free. Come out of hiding, spread the wings you have been afraid to open, and walk forward. Not because you can see the whole path, but because I can, and I have already been to your tomorrow. And it is good. What I have begun in you, I will complete.